All right, everyone. Welcome to Nexthermal's first ever webinar. We're really excited to peel the curtains and share more details with you on who we are and especially about one of our flagship products, Nextflex. We've been spending a great deal of time perfecting and designing the manufacturing process. So we really appreciate each and every one of you taking the time to join us today. We're looking forward to sharing some really interesting information with you all. So, all right. Let's get right into it. So for those of you who are new to us, I'd like to take a moment to really share a little bit about Nexthermal. We are a pioneer in custom heat solutions in North America, and we form the bedrock for many of the critical industries here in North America and around the world. You can think of us as the innovators behind innovators, especially when it comes to heat. In many of the industries that touch our day-to-day lives. For example, in 3D printing, as you can see, there are a few pictures here, and 3D printing is one example where we have custom designed modules with precise thermal management for many of the top 3D printing companies in the world. Another story with food industry. As you can imagine, the entire food industry runs on heat, which is really core strength of ours. And so naturally we've worked with very well-known home brands to optimize thermal performance for a variety of their applications. In medical, for example, we've worked on devices used in patient heating during surgery, recovery systems, and supporting procedures in the medical industry as well. And just another example of our involvement is in packaging. This is one area where Nexthermal really has consistently been an industry standard when it comes to flexible heating solutions that enable unique product designs in packaging. We all know that the world is constantly changing towards more complex and dynamic packaging, and we have continued to evolve our technology and product offerings to better suit today's and the needs of the future. Continuing on that note, as you can see, we have a wide range of experiences in a number of different industries that all use heat. In fact, our biggest strength is looking at the problems of our customers from out-of-the-box perspectives and solving them using our core technical expertise. Here you'll see some examples of our thermal design solutions to various problems that our customers experience fairly regularly. So, in a nutshell, anything that deals with supplying heat to a machine, that's where we come in. And, to put everything together, we provide a complete turnkey package consisting of heat control systems and sensors that is built to optimize performance for you. In a sense, we make heat work. Now, our focus as a company has always been on discovering and delivering thermal solutions that make an impact on everyone we connect with, our customers, our employees, and including our vendor partners. So every year we continue to embark on a number of initiatives with the goal of serving our communities as well. And that really is something that ties into our mission as a company, which brings me to our vision as well. So our vision reflects the direction in which we think we can make the biggest impact as a company, which is to earn worldwide leadership by really and truly focusing on improving our customers' competitive advantage, using our expertise of smart heat management solutions, which is by far our biggest strength. Now, given how volatile the current situation is, I just want to quickly take a moment to share how we've been able to quickly adapt to changing times, especially in the midst of the current pandemic. For one, we've been fully operational as we are an essential business. A lot of our customers who are in the critical industries like food, medical, etc., rely on us. So it's important for us to ensure that we support them as much as possible during this critical time. We have maintained one of industry's best lead times, especially for custom products. We've implemented a lot of safety measures within our office and manufacturing plant, as well to ensure that our employees are operating as safely as possible. Now, let's start talking about Nextflex, because I know that's why you guys are here today. So Nextflex, as it's widely known, is Nexthermal's response to growing need for a flexible tubular heater with superior heat conductivity and adaptability to your mold. It is designed to be flexible enough to be bent in almost any shape and form. It is built specifically by keeping in mind best heat transfer and performance within your groove. And today we're going to get into more details on the technology that makes it all happen. So Nextflex comes in two primary shapes, round and square. We build round Nextflex in 6.5 millimeter diameter, 8 millimeters, and 8.5. In square, we make 6 and 8x8 size for square Nextflex. And by the way, both of these come in customizable lengths. So any specific requirement you have, we can make Nextflex for that particular length for your needs. Now, with Nextflex, it's all about flexibility. And with that, you also get the ultimate freedom and flexibility in your operations. So we've worked on optimizing all our processes and logistics to align towards your goal of carrying minimal inventory, thus reducing your costs and minimizing downtime. So things like same-day shipping, always carrying inventory in stock, etc., are all the things we've streamlined and improved to ensure doing business with us is as easy and seamless as possible. Now, due to Nextflex flexible shape, you get to bring heat to areas that you really couldn't before. And this is made possible because Nextflex is one of the lowest, if not the lowest, bending radius in the industry. So you can now bring heat precisely where needed to fit your specific application. So no matter what your application, given that we have such a wide range of lengths in stock, along with multiple diameter sizes with an industry-leading bending radius, no matter what your application needs are, chances are good that we have a combination that fits perfectly for you. And we also, by the way, make custom sizes like I just mentioned that are not on our stock list. And with that in mind, we also carry more than 170 unique combinations of sizes and diameters for all our Nextflex inventory. So no matter what your needs are, we likely have it in stock. And if you place an order before 2 p.m. Eastern time, we'll ship same day. And goal for us really here is to make it as simpler as possible for you to carry fewer heaters in stock, thus reducing your inventory costs and taking much lesser space to store. And one nice thing that we've really worked hard on is to make it easy for you to order. You can call in, you can order online, no drawings required. It's a very, very easy process. Now, let's talk about technology. This is a part of a design that we've worked for a long time, and it consists of, it all starts with nichrome resistance wire at its core. We use high-grade nichrome wire, essentially most stable resistance wire available out there, and which is insulated by MgO. MgO provides electrical insulation and thermal conductivity. Now, as you go from inside out, next you'll see copper and flexible nickel sheath outside of MgO. They're essentially assembled into a composite structure, providing flexibility for forming into complex shapes, and that provides optimal thermal conductivity. Copper also helps with drastic improvements in the temperature difference in the mold. As all of this is wrapped with stainless steel sheath, as a part of the composite, it provides flexibility and oxidation resistance at high temperatures. So you can see Nextflex is designed and built for a much superior performance than many of our competitors. This also helps us pack higher watt density, and thus giving higher temperature in the same space as compared to, say, a tubular heater. And this helps, for example, when maintaining higher temperature in glass-filled engineering resin. While building Nextflex, we do not, under any circumstances, cut corners or materials or manufacturing processes. As you can see in this image, a flat profile of the outer stainless steel sheath gives you maximum groove contact, which gives you better heat transfer, which gives you better heater life and performance. So you get more out of your Nextflex over a longer period of time. So, let's talk about terminals. We have currently two options for attaching the heater. The first one is our current standard screw terminal with 2 washers and 2 nuts, suitable for ring or fork type terminals. And the other type is plug and heat, which is essentially a preferred method for attaching the heater if ring or fork type terminal is not available. And there have been cases where we have crimped the leads to the terminals, but we really don't recommend it. Now let's look at how we compare with others, especially when it comes to Nextflex. And if we look at a spectrum of variables that people would want to compare us with, we have total cost of ownership, which is something that we're really proud of. So for example, a pre-bent tubular heater, you'll need a bending fixture, spend more time installing and uninstalling the heater, really, which means higher installation costs after factoring in the labor. And this is the kind of stuff you don't have to deal with for Nextflex. You know, for Nextflex, there's no bending fixture required, takes much less time to install and uninstall, the total time. And it really means that it's lower cost for you to install and uninstall Nextflex. And it also, because of its unique design, has a really high performance and durability. So you get more out of your Nextflex within the same period of time. Lead times. So for lead times, as I just mentioned earlier, we ship same day if you place an order before 2 p.m. or Eastern time. Whereas with our competitors, like for pre-bent tubular heater, as you know, there's drawings, there's a lot of back and forth with the vendor. It can take up to 4 to 6 weeks, which is a really long time. And for competitors, depending on where you're sourcing them from, it could take up to 2 weeks for you to source a similar product from our competitors. Now let's look at quality. As I mentioned earlier, we've put a lot of thought into designing and building this. And so we're really proud of the fact that we have industry-leading standard of quality. And we really do not cut any corners anywhere when it comes to material and our processes. Whereas for pre-bent tubular heater, it really depends where you're getting it from. It varies depending on the source. And really, it's same way for our competitors. We have seen some of our competitors cut corners when it comes to the quality of the material, and that really reflects on the quality of the product and the output you get out of it. So we're really proud of the quality we deliver for this market. Let's look at downtime. Since we ship same day, or we carry stock for essentially a huge number of sizes, you get minimal downtime with Nexthermal. And whereas for pre-bent tubular heater, naturally, because it has 4 to 6 weeks lead time, the downtime is very high. With competitors, depending again from where you source it from, it could be from minimal to medium. And so really, we've worked very hard on our logistics and internal processes to make sure that we get this Nextflex in your hands as quickly as possible. And that really, everything that we just talked about ties into ease of doing business. Nexthermal prides itself in being customer focused, and we want to do everything we can to make it very easy for you to do business with us. And that's something that we're really proud of. When it comes to competitors or pre-bent tubular heater, you know, we're not sure, especially if you're sourcing it from a different country. You know, there's import costs involved. There's a lot of other hoops you have to jump through to source from our competitors. So, you know, across the spectrum, if you look at all of these variables, we've tried to make it as easy as possible, as compelling as possible, to make Nextflex a compelling solution for you. And with that in mind, we're very proud of the fact that it was designed and assembled in the USA. We have our own manufacturing facility here where we go through a lot of the assembly process, and we have our own internal control systems to make sure that we ensure high quality product. Now let's talk a little bit about calculating the size of Nextflex, especially the correct size. What size Nextflex do you need for your manifold? We've split that into 4 steps. So let's walk them through one by one. Step 1 is to calculate straight lengths. It's important that the closed section should not be outside the mold. Neither should it be bent outside the manifold, as it could break the heater. Closed sections are not designed to be flexible. So I just want to make a note of that. So Step one is that we look at all the straight lengths and we calculate them. Then step two is we calculate equal bends and their radiuses. So in this case, as you can see, all the bends that we have, we calculate them, their radiuses, and which brings us to our next step, which is step three. Essentially, we need to multiply the radiuses you've calculated by an expansion factor. Now, when you bend a heater, you stretch it. So our expansion factors helps take that into consideration in order to calculate accurate length. So in this step, what we do is we multiply the radius, each radius with an expansion factor based on the diameter of the heater. And we have a chart to make this easy for you. You can just check it out on our website. In this case, for example, it's an 8.5 millimeter heater. So we've calculated the expansion factors based on this size heater. What we do is, well, we take the figures from step one and the calculation from step 2 and 3 and add that up. It's that simple. So what we do is take the straight lengths and we add that up to the radiuses multiplied by expansion factors. So step 2 times 3 plus 1 gives us total length of the right size Nexflex. This calculation will give you exactly the specific size that you need to, that'll fit your manifold. That brings us to our next point, which is what's the right groove size for you and for our Nexflex. So for best performance and reliability, Nexthermal recommends following certain groove dimensions as mentioned in this chart. I'm not gonna go into the weeds here. You're welcome to check it out on our website or on our brochure. But really, it talks about different types of diameter sizes and their tolerances for groove dimensions. And this really is to ensure best groove fit, which results in optimal heat transfer and extended heater life. Now, it's important to note that certain tools are required for proper installation. That way you can get the maximum performance out of your Nexflex. So you'd need a dead blow soft-faced hammer, a Nexthermal staker for seating and staking in the groove completely. And in addition to that, you would also need a former to assist the heater to bend around complex radius around the groove. Now, all these tools are provided by Nexthermal, so you don't have to worry about quality and usability of these tools. We provide a package of complete solution for you. The nice thing about our video is that you can check it out on our website or also on your mobile device. The installation video for Nexflex can be easily taken with you to the shop floor while you're installing or uninstalling the Nexflex. So we've tried to make it as easy as possible for you. We have a special announcement today. We've been working on launching a new store, and we're putting together final pieces to go live. And I just wanted to take a moment to share with you all that for those who prefer, you can go online and buy Nextflex online. And we will be announcing more details in the next week or two. And as a part of our special launch promotion, we'll be giving special discounts. And so feel free to keep an eye out for your email. And for those who are attending the webinar right now, if you're interested, we can offer a special discount for you. This is for customers who are new to us, who really haven't done business with us. And so we wanted to welcome you, and if you give us a call within the next 2 weeks, we will hook you up with a special discount. So I will be sharing the contact details in the next slide and also the final one. Anyway, that really wraps up our Nextflex presentation, and now we're going to switch over to Q&A with Jeff Wheeler, who is our R&D manager. And like I said before, Jeff is really the technical expert that we rely on here in Nexthermal to solve a lot of our technical problems as well. So I'm really excited that he's going to be here with us. And with that, off to you, Jeff.
Okay, thank you, Rishi. It took me a minute to figure out how to push the buttons on the screen here. That was well done. You did a nice job presenting that. I did have a couple things I did want to show. One of the questions that has come up before is, what do I use the Nextflex for? I wanted to share this file. This is a project that we've been recently working on, and it's a pretty large platen used in rubber processing. The challenge with this is we had too many holes perforating the plate to be able to use cartridge heaters. So in a typical application like this, we'd use cartridge heaters spaced out along the length of the plate, and you see two of them modeled here, one on the ends. But because of the geometry between, it's not possible to really drive heaters where they need to be. And because of the distance, this plate is almost 3 feet long. So because of physical separation between these cavities, if we just went with the outside heaters, there would not be enough heat transfer to provide the uniformity of temperature distribution along the surface of this plate that we would need to have, because each one of these cavities need to be at a set temperature. So using the Nextflex in a pattern like what I've shown here, and this is subject to change too, depending on the thermodynamics of the design, but these are two 3600 watt Nextflex heaters modeled as 8.5 millimeter diameter, so this gives an idea. And we're able to weave the heat between the cavities evenly, avoiding the center of the plate, which is going to naturally be the hottest point, because heat will be lost to the outside edges evenly. So we need to concentrate the heat on the ends where the pins would be pulling heat, and we need to concentrate heat on these outside cavities, but we need to avoid the heat in the center. So this is an example of a great opportunity for Nextflex to be able to weave the heat where it's needed within the application and not allow too much heat in areas that obviously don't need it. Okay, so the question was raised of why the metric only diameter sizes. Well, a lot of this is based on tubular heaters, and tubular heaters have a lot of market in metric sizes. The 0.312 is very close to 312 inches is close to 8 millimeter. So there is some crossover there. If there's a custom inch size that a customer is looking to produce, we might be able to manage the manufacturing process to accommodate that. But the market's kind of built around the 8, the 10, and the 2 squares and the 8.5. So that's naturally where our development also led to. There's no technical reason behind it, aside from that's where the market was. Another question was, can heaters be straightened and rebent? Can they be reused? We would not recommend that. So the heaters are dead soft annealed as shipped out from us, so they're soft and straight condition. We have seen customers where during the installation process tend to bend them back and forth in the same location. We don't recommend that because you can work harden the materials that are in the composite structure of the heater and cause embrittlement, which will allow it to fail as you bend it back and forth, micro cracks and eventual failure. So no, I would not suggest straightening them and rebending them. In fact, and once they're pressed in the groove and staked in with a staker, they would not be usable anyway because they've been misshaped to the groove profile. So I hope that answered that question. In our installation process that we talk about, it talks about coming from the center out to the ends, and that's to avoid overflexing and complex bends. So one of the comments that has been recorded here is, I've used Nextflex heaters. Biggest hindrance to utilizing more in plastic extrusion dies is a large amount of math to calculate length by snaking the mill path. Is there an Excel sheet or a better way to help with math and calculations? At one point in time, we did have a tool on our website and on our app for helping customers decide what the starting length of the Nextflex is. I think that's still under work because we've revamped our website. If you have a drawing, Nexthermal's engineering department would be more than happy to take a look at the drawing and help you with those calculations. Either show you the way we do it or to come up with a solution for you. So we're very much a partner in that, and we'd love to be able to help you work through that. And I'm being told it'll be on our website here soon too. Pricing question. So there is a premium to the Nextflex. The reason why is because you don't need to have all the additional costs of pre-bent, where you have the tooling involved and you have to stock and inventory pre-bent heater. So there is a price premium because we're dealing with a number of layers of construction with the copper, with the stainless, with the nickel, the fabrication process. It's of course going to cost more. But I think you'll find in the end, the total cost of ownership, as Rishi talked about, is much better because you don't have to carry the inventory, you don't have to carry the spare parts, you don't have to carry the tooling to be able to pre-bend. Specific cases for food or medical, that's a very good question. So this product, as I'm showing on the screen, rubber platen, but it really applies to conformal heating. So if you're doing, say, a LIM process, a liquid injection molding process for silicone rubber, say for the medical marketplace, you could do this same principle because you're using the molds are mounted to the platens, and you still have to heat uniformly. So we have other products that work similar to the Nextflex, but are in smaller diameter. So we actually produce heaters as small as 1.4 millimeter in diameter, all the way up to 10 millimeter. Those aren't constructed the same way as the Nextflex. So we call those coil heaters, but in fact, they're actually produced straight and formed in a final shape. So when you talk about medical or food, we have a lot of experience doing embedded heaters into geometry conforming to a customer shape. So if you think like a top seal application where you're sealing a food package, for instance, and it looks like Mickey Mouse ears or some unique shape for kids, you've got to put heat around that profile. The coil heater can work just like what I'm showing here on the screen. It's a smaller profile. It can be, as I said, done 1.4 millimeter, and you can follow the heat path. So yes, is it better to use Nextflex on a new job application only, or can it replace an existing heater? So if you have a tubular heater already, it can replace a tubular heater provided the groove geometry is similar. We quite often do replace tubular heaters. If you're building a new tool, you can go either way, but I would prefer to use Nextflex. Moisture resistance, that's a very good question. So our tubular heater, or our Nextflex heaters, have a silicone potting in the cold section. If you look at our brochure, we list the maximum temperature of 700 degrees F. That is why the temperature limit is set there, because the silicone potting helps prevent moisture intrusion. I know there are tubular heaters out there that have a vulcanized rubber covering over the end, and that's even more resistant, but the silicone potting works pretty good and it keeps the moisture out. One other thing I did want to talk about too, we talked a little bit about the plug-in heat. There was an opportunity working with a customer to redesign that plug-in heat. So this slide that I'm showing here has 4 images. The top 2 is the plug-in heat, one is cut in half. And one thing I wanted to show, we took a little bit of design improvement from the existing product in the market by creating these recesses that the heater will sit in and self-center, and that provides a little bit more safety because there's no external electrical connections that could be a shock hazard. We're nesting it inside. The bottom 2 pictures is a new concept that we had worked on for a customer that had problems. They were using lead wires and putting 2 lead wires into one plug-in heat. And because there's a screw that locks the wire in place, it's difficult to put 2 wires in side by side and get a good grip. So he came up with a concept of where this block has 2 wire entry points. The push button acts as a gate inside of there. So you're familiar with the new electrical connectors where you push the wires in, you don't have to screw clamp down onto the wires. And then the other end screws onto the Nextflex and nests the Nextflex inside. I'm sharing this because we want to reiterate, we're here to solve problems. So we have product on the shelf, we can ship product from the shelf, but if you have a unique application that needs to be thought of differently or needs to come up with a different way of approaching it, this is really what we're geared up to do. Another question came in during that was, can you use other potting material? You can. We do have other potting materials available. It depends on the temperature. Silicone is fairly low in temperature, but the cold sections are sticking outside the tool. So they shouldn't be really getting that hot, but we can go with an epoxy that's rated up to 600 degrees F, or we can go with ceramic, which has no sealing properties, but it's a very, very high temperature. So yeah, there are options to that. You can use thermal paste. Ooh, that's a very good question. We get that quite often. So you can, but I would not encourage you to do that. The reason why is the heater is designed to deform into the groove when it's being pressed in. So all those flat areas come in intimate contact with the tool and provide the heat conduction from the heater to the tool. Heat has 3 mechanisms of transfer. conduction, convection, and radiation. Convection and radiation are not as efficient as conduction. So heat is always going to go through an intimate contact between two objects more than the other two. If you use thermal paste, you get the paste between those two surfaces. A, it lubricates it, so the heater will end up sliding right out of the groove. B, it's actually not as efficient as pressing the two parts under compression, under pressure between the two. So the only thing the thermal paste in the best case would be is to fill those grooves where there's air. The issue there is there's really not much of a groove by the time the heater gets pressed into the tool. And second, the heat is not going to go that direction because it's going to foul those ribs into the tool through conduction. So I would not recommend thermal paste. We've had customers before attempt to pot the heaters in using a thermally conductive epoxy or a potting material. It's not necessary, and it's just more work, and it can create a failure. Maximum length. So maximum length that we stock Nextflex is right now is up to 2100 millimeters. I'm sorry, 1500 millimeters is on our inventory list right now. We have part numbers go up to 2100. We can go even longer than that. The challenge with longer lengths is you have less power. We lose wattage. So when you get into very, very long Nextflexes, I would encourage the customers to think about maybe using 2 instead of 1, like I showed in that plate, where you can split it up and make the plate symmetrical and maybe combine multiple heaters to get to the power you need instead of going with one really long one. And it looks like that's the extent of the questions. Those are very, very good questions. And I appreciate you guys being involved in the process. And I'll turn it back over to Rishi now to do the final.
Thank you, Jeff. That was great. I really hope that that answers some of your question. And if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out back to us. Thank you so much for your time today. And like I said earlier, for those who are new to Nexthermal, we would like to offer you a special discount. So within the next 2 weeks, feel free to reach out to us on this email or phone number below that you can see on your screen. And hopefully we get to hear from you soon. And we'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear what other questions you had that we couldn't answer. Feel free to reach out to us for those as well. And hopefully we see you in the next webinar. So thanks everyone, and stay safe.